Hi, my name is Mathieu Mal. I'm a policy officer for agriculture and climate at the EEB, the European Environmental Bureau. And I'm also part of the credible consortium that has been organizing this conference. Obviously, when we develop a policy that will affect how land is being managed, this is not really being developed in a vacuum. There's already plenty of policies there that do have an impact. And so what ideally you would want is this new policy to fit into that mix in a way that is coherent, and that all these policies kind of pull into the same correct direction rather than creating tensions. You would also want, while developing these policies, to learn what you can borrow potentially from other policies and how to make sure that these policies can be integrated, how different policies that operate at different scales also can feed into each other. So it's really important to develop it in that way. What you want to make sure is that the efforts we put here in developing a scheme that can incentivize farmers to bring certain practices to their fields. We want to make sure that it doesn't become just about tweaking the existing system with small adjustments, because what we really need is a very systemic change of our land management and our food system. So what we're after is a really holistic approach that can bring us to a more socially sustainable, environmentally and financially sustainable way of doing agriculture and producing food. And so therefore it's really important that these new policies and these new schemes that we develop take all this into account and don't focus on a single indicator, to make sure that we indeed enable farmers to make this whole systemic change. So biodiversity obviously is a very important one. There's questions right now about how exactly that would have to be operationalized and exactly which indicator do we use, because biodiversity is a pretty broad term, but that's definitely a main one. But otherwise there's also, of course, water is a key element. A lot of regions suffer of excess of water, others suffer of droughts. There's the water pollution as well is an aspect. So this is another element that definitely needs to be taken into account, and we need to build systems that are resilient, and we only do that if we look at all these elements and not just, like I said before, not if we just make small adjustments and have a very narrow focus on one indicator. When developing these policies and making sure that indeed you get this coherent policy mix that can enable robust carbon farming at scale, you want to make sure that you keep always the final objective in mind, that you develop everything into the direction that you want to go. And that direction is a transition away from logic that has been extracting from nature, rather towards a system where we work together with nature to produce the food.